another wonderful day with the Crotchety Old Men podcast. Hello, this is Gary Smith, your co-host with the Crotchety Old Men. And with me in the studio today, of course, is my main man, George Crumley. What's up, Crumbs?
Hey man, not much. How you doing, Smitty?
Man, I'm doing all I can and the easy ones twice.
There
You
you
know,
go.
yes, sir. Life is good, George. If I start talking about it, I sound like I'm bragging, so I'm going to just shut up.
I know, Smitty. It's another beautiful day, man. Anytime we can continue to send this information out to our audience, it's just something that we just got to keep doing. And today, we've got a special guest here. And it's interesting because of the fact that, we're always talking about finances, we're talking about small businesses, but we've never really talked about the art of small business and artistry. Okay. We've got a super artist with us today by the name of Sharon Crumley. She's a visual artist. Her main focus is what we call mixed media, and she'll get into more of what that is. But she's been doing art for about 14 years. And I thought it'd be great to have on today, talk about some of the challenges and talk about some of the success of being an artist. There's a lot of myths out here about artists, but I thought it would be great to have her on today and kind of talk about the focus of being an artist. So welcome to the show, Sharon. How you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me.
Good. You want to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yes, I am a mixed media artist. Like you said, I deal mainly in abstracts. I don't do landscapes or anything representational. My art is all interpretive from the viewer's point of view. So that's where I work mostly with paper. I paint paper and create things. I use bark from trees and anything I may find something laying around, and I just incorporate that too.
Wow. Now that is taking me to a whole nother level because I was horrible in art school. So, being a professional artist, what inspired you to get into this career?
Okay, well, I didn't start in art. I was always creative. Even as a kid, I was creative, making doll clothes out of socks and all that kind of thing. But what happened was along the way, I took a hairdressing journey and IT journey. After a layoff, I had to get serious about making money. So I went back to what I knew, which was being creative. So I took that and formed it into something that had an appeal to people, and they liked it. So I kept going.
So when you say it appealed to people, let's talk about that. How do you identify your audience and how do you distribute your art so that it is seen by the masses?
Well, how I identify my avatar, there's a lot of ways. You can go on Facebook and they have ways where you can identify your avatar down to how much money, the money part you want to target, the kind of art they like, what museums they visit, and all of that. So you have a pretty kind of clear picture of who you want to target. The issue or challenge is even if you target them, they may not like your particular version of the kind of art that they like. So even if they like abstracts, well, they may not like abstracts with red in it or blue in it. Okay, so then you don't make adjustments for that. You just keep creating what you create, and it evolves into something that your people find you find your tribe. So that's work for me. Sometimes it's just a matter of people like color. They like a particular color scheme, and if you make art with that color scheme, no matter what it is, then they'll buy it. So there's a lot of determining factors.
Where does your inspiration come from?
My inspiration comes from anything. It could be, I dream a lot. It comes from dreams. You can ask George because I wake up and I write stuff down. I can just be looking at, like I said, a tree with this bark that peels off. And just the way that the bark is hanging off of the tree just has an appeal to me. I don't know how to define it, but it happens like that. Or I can see something laying on the ground, and I'll pick it up and kind of contemplate it. What could this be? How can I use this? And turn it into something that's beautiful and meaningful.
So let's talk about some of the myths. Obviously, the biggest myth is starving artists, and obviously, if you've been doing this for 14 years, obviously that you've figured out how to get over that hurdle. Let's talk about some of your successes, maybe some where your art is hanging or has hung, and let's talk about how it has been financially beneficial to you as well as allowing you to express yourself in many different forms.
Well, early on, when I first started really showing my art, there was a show we were going to, George and I were going to, and before we could get there, the piece sold. And it's that kind of thing that happened again at another major gallery that had an auction called Mason Mirror. They had an auction to benefit one of their charities, and my piece sold there too. The downside of that is you don't get to find out who the person was or anything about them, and the galleries don't share that information with you. So you just have to, it's a guess, really. As far as my successes, I consider that a success. More recently, though, I have about 12 pieces hanging at the Marriott up in Alpharetta, Georgia. And through invitations, I get invitations to do different things. I mean, I've been in the major residences that are now turned into exhibition halls, like Collinwald, which was the former Coca-Cola residence, the people that made Coca-Cola. And what you have to do, you just have to be in pursuit. I'm also in, it's called West Side Market. So it's a home decor kind of place where you can rent a wall and put your things up. I have pieces in there. And also I'm in a gallery at the mall. They, one of the art groups I'm in started a gallery. So we are hanging at the mall, and surely you should get enough traffic at the mall, you would think, that would help you sell. Also, what I did was I joined some art groups, because if you're an artist, you will never make the connections that you need to make. So I joined 3 art groups, and different ones do different things. One of the art groups is strictly collage, which is what I do. The other group is whatever you want to make. I mean, they're painters. These are all professionals, but they have a wider appreciation for art. And then I joined the Black art group here too, the African Americans for the Arts, just as a balance, because a lot of times when you join these groups, the demographic is not like you a lot of times. So just for balance, I joined them. And also, you make those kind of connections, and people within those groups have private connections that they will connect you with. So that's happened too a couple of times, where there's a private show and they'll ask you for some art to share with their audience. So
And that is powerful, Sharon. I'm sitting here just thinking of that, how fulfilling that must be for you to see your work displayed. I mean, there's thousands. I think I'm in the mall. My God, there's thousands of people come through the malls and stuff, and just to be recognized, in these various houses and places of art. So hopefully our listening audience, because I'm sure there's someone out there, because you come from a space, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it sounds like you come from a space where creativity has no boundaries. Okay, and you draw, or you produce or create, I should say, better worse than draw. You create an art from that space. Can you kind of speak to that in terms of the unlimitedness?
okay. Well, I look at it like this: it has to have simplicity and cohesiveness. So as long as it has those 2 elements, I think it can connect. I don't like to make one kind of art, as you may know, that I do. I do collage in an abstract way. I also do African pieces that I piece, because it's something about texture that drives me. So I'll piece up the African body part of the art and then just add the faces and all of that. And I mean, art to me is applicable to most things. You can make purses, you can sell journals. I mean, it's across the board, the spectrum of what you can do. I've even made small art pieces that I call starter art, which have quotes attached to them. And I sell those as well. And I went as far as having the name trademarked so that I can use that and use it in different, they have a word for it in the law that I can't think of now, but I can use it on different things as artwork and to sell. So I look at it like Picasso. Picasso didn't just draw. I mean, he did pottery. Him and Calder, they made mobiles. I mean, there's a lot of things that people do, and they think you should only do one thing. If you're an artist, you should only paint horses. Well, I'm just not of that ilk because I get tired of doing the same thing. So if I see an opportunity to do something where I can express part of myself in doing that thing, I'll try it. I mean, I have a garage full of stuff that, I'll try for a while and I'll put it down and I'll come back to it. And it's just that process of creating. So,
Hmm. Now, do you ascribe to any formal training, or do you take art classes now, or do you? I mean, how does that work as far as from an academic perspective? 'Cause I know there's some. Excuse me. I know again, there's someone out there that perhaps says, "Oh my God, I would like to have an opportunity to do what Miss Sharon is doing, but I don't have a degree in art or what have you." Can you?
well, surprise, surprise, I don't have a degree in art either. My art comes from within. So if you are a person that feels creative, let it rip because nobody can tell you how to express yourself on paper. Even musicians, I mean, it's across the board. If there's something you want to put out in the world, put it out in the world. Now I have taken workshops. There are some people that I follow right now. Robin McClendon is one person that she is very creative. I like her process of what she does. I don't copy her work. I just look to her for inspiration. And early on, I took a workshop from a lady called Lynn Edwards, who very early on, she had the colors working. I have a pretty good color sense, but the more that you interact with people, iron sharpens iron kind of thing, you can get to find out where you are on the spectrum of things. And then you can take that forward and make it your own. So I just recommend if you're not going to pursue the degree route, take some workshops, read some books, look at YouTube videos. I mean, YouTube University has a plethora of information that you can draw from. So I don't take anything off the table. I mean, even regular conversations, sometimes somebody will say something that will spark an idea. So it's just all around me, and I look for it and I tune into that just to see what I can draw from it.
Hey, that's all good stuff. And you've talked about the mixed media portion of what you do as far as your creativity. But let's talk a little bit about your fortune cookies. Obviously, people have been listening to this, and if they haven't figured out by now that you're my wife, so I pretty much know exactly what you do and and how you do create. And I know that the fortune cookies are a big part of what you do. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about the name first of all, because people hear me talking about fortune cookies, they may think I've all of a sudden changed and talk about food, but actually I'm not. I'm talking about art. So go ahead and talk about the fortune cookies and talk about how that's a pretty good staple for your business.
Okay, well, yeah, the fortune cookies came about, and artists always say, "Thank God for happy accidents." I was working on a different project, and I was actually working with some fabric, and I was kind of bending it around, just looking at it, and then it just bent into the shape of a fortune cookie. So initially I made the fortune cookies not edible, but I made them out of fabric and added quotes. And I thought, wow, that's a kind of a cute idea just to get somebody started in the process of collecting art. And then it expanded. So I had to come up with a name. I went through maybe 10 iterations of different names. So finally it just came out to be Wisdom in a Box. So the fortune cookies the backgrounds are all original art, and then the fortune cookie with the quote. And I called it starter art. If you don't want to commit to something big, hey, start here. The quote may be beneficial to you or not, and you can go from that point. But I did trademark Wisdom in a Box because, like I said, I can apply that across many different types of artwork and T-shirts and stationery and everything like that. So, and it's just the wisdom that you tune into that comes out. And so I decided to capture that and put it in a box like Pandora. You know, you open that box and stuff comes out. So same concept here. You can get some wisdom out of this shadow box with the fortune cookie attached.
Can you share with
Wow.
our audience some of the quotes that you've used?
Um, well, there's a lot. One of my favorites, I have a couple of favorites. One of them is "No word of God will fail," and you can chew on that one. Another one is "A lion never loses sleep over the opinion of sheep." Another one is "You are an unrepeatable miracle." And I have a lot. Time is non-refundable. So I'm listening and I'm tuning into what I hear, and then I interpret, and I get some myself. You know, even my grandson Jaden had one when he was 7 or 8. He says, "If you don't know where you are, then you shouldn't be there." And he just kind of said it, and I wrote it down, and I sold that cookie, and I gave him part of the proceeds for that.
Well, all right. All right. Well, I know I was getting hungry at first when George. So I'm glad we cleared that up. What else on the menu?
That's the dessert part. So
Okay. So, what's in the future for the virtual artist Sharon Crumley? What do you see on the horizon?
well, currently I'm working on, and this goes with the evolution of being an artist, I'm working on a corporate art class for corporate professionals who are stressed and they just want to get rid of some stress. This is non instructional, it's non clinical. This is just a day of fun with some art, and you leave that class with your own masterpiece, framed and ready to hang.
Okay. Now, is that similar to this? What I see sometime, something with a twist, iron. I mean,
No,
it's none of that. Okay.
none of that.
Okay.
Nope.
Okay. Good. You know, I don't know much about it. I can't even say it. So,
Yeah, you're talking about the paint and sip, for
yeah,
example.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
There you go.
yeah.
People get
I
drunk. I
mean,
mean,
nothing against them. You know,
mhm.
hey, if I had thought of that, maybe I would have done that. But no, mine is coming from a different place where it's all you.
Excellent.
So
Excellent.
Let's talk about some of the challenges of an artist. What have you seen as some of your biggest challenges?
challenges would be deadlines if you have a show, because I do some festivals. I used to do a lot of festivals, but I'm backing off of festivals, not so many. Um, Deadlines, because nobody's going to tell you you have to have 15 pieces ready. It's all from inside of you. So you have to plan your days where you can accomplish that thing. I mean, just was it yesterday? We hung 10 pieces of art at the Central Library downtown in Atlanta. And I knew in March that I had to have these 10 pieces done. The thing is, the inspiration may not come until the 11th hour. I mean, but once you know that, then you can plan ahead and do like the busy stuff that you have to do. You know, if you paint backgrounds, you can get all that part done, and then when it's time to really put yourself into it, you can pull that tool out and say, hey, well, yeah, that works, pull that together, make that happen, and you can complete the piece. The other challenge is cash flow. A lot of times your art, it may be out there for years and nobody buys it. Then a buyer comes along. It's happened so many times when we've gone to festivals and I said, I'm not going to take that piece, and just say, I don't know why not, it's sitting in the living room, you might as well take it. So I'll take it and it'll sell. So you just never know. So if you can create a bread and butter product that'll keep your cash flow coming, it could be something, under $50 or whatever your threshold is, to keep the money coming in, and then you can put that into something bigger. But those are two challenges for me: deadlines and cash flow. So
In terms of marketing, Sharon, I know with with the internet, of course, there's a lot, I guess, galleries who have also gone online in addition to having a brick and mortar. Are you seeing any difference, or do you uh, put any of your art online as opposed to the galleries only or the festivals?
I do have a website, www.sharoncrumleystudios.com. I'm also on Instagram, Sharon underscore visual artist. As far as the challenge of marketing, oh, that's a big one because you just have to find a sweet spot. I understand online galleries. I get that. Sometimes they're vanity galleries, which means that you put your art there and they create these. I don't want to say anything disparaging, but it's all about you just to make you feel good. It's not about selling the art. It's just like, oh, I have art online kind of thing. I have art at this gallery online. So I don't want to do that. As far as a brick and mortar gallery, there's a challenge there because their commissions are so high. So if you're willing to do that, I'm not willing to give up that much of my art creation for that commission. I'm just not. That's just me. Um, as far as huh, as far as just being online, period, is driving people to where you are. That part is really a challenge, marketing and advertising. And I just found out recently that they're two different things. But yeah, the marketing piece, there's a lot to that. And I don't have all the answers for that. I will say in advertising either. I don't have all the answers. It's still evolving for me. And I look for opportunities when I can make it work for me.
So getting back to your art, we kind of explored the business side of it. So how do you hope, or how do you, when creating, hope that it inspires your art being inspirational to others?
Well, art is about emotion. People think you're buying a picture, but you're buying emotion. So if your art makes an emotional connection, it's going to hopefully inspire that person to see that and interpret for themselves what it means. So whatever they interpret that it means, then they can use that as inspiration for themselves to go do something or be something or have something. So that part is, you have to create it and take your hands off and leave it, put it out there, and you can't keep it. You can't. You have to release it and be done with the comments and everything that may come your way, because we hear the comments all the time. Oh, I can do that, or my kid can do that. Oh, yeah, well, it's just splashed up paint on a canvas. Okay, well, my challenge is, well, go try it. If it's that easy, go try it and then go sell it. I mean, you
Very,
can. Okay, you created it, now go sell it. So.
absolutely. It's amazing what people will do. They think they want to walk in your shoes until they find out what that entails, right?
Right, and they don't mind telling you to your face that ew, I can do that. Okay. And I just shrug my shoulders and say, okay, go do
Sure.
it.
Yeah. I mean, what else you going to do? I mean, you don't focus on those. You focus on the
No.
ones that love it. So I get it. Um, I can understand that, being an artist, you talk about the advertising, the business side of art. I guess in show business, say show business, but the art business, the business of art. And as you're touching on right now, and I hope people are taking notes about this, there's a business in everything that goes on, and there's a business side and there's that creative side. Do you surround yourself with other um, I call it teammates for a sense, but do you build somewhat of a team around yourself in order to maybe things that, as far as the advertising, I don't want to hang on advertising and marketing, but there's other things that encompasses helping you be who you are. So what I'm trying to say is that it enables you to focus solely on your art, and whereas that you don't have to be as concerned about some of those other peripheral things. What advice would you?
Well, my take on that is you do need a team, but you may not need a team that's 24/7 or 9 to 5. You may need a team that's somebody you just call and say, "Hey, this is my challenge. What are your thoughts on it?" You have a 30-minute phone call, that could be your team. Or you have a session with someone in the thing that you need. Business is so big, people forget that there are components to the business. So if you need an accountant, you wouldn't call your attorney. You just break it out into, this is the aspect I need right now. Help me with this particular thing right now. And yes, I do have people that I call and say, hey, look, give me your take on this. And sometimes they come through with some really good information. Other times, you might have to chew on it a little bit and it may make sense down the road. But you got to make the investment in yourself. And I'm talking about with time and dollars. I am a member of 2 business groups. And I also have another mentor that I just signed on with the other day who is helping me with the corporate art program. So you have to have people that know. Mentors give you time. It may take you 15 years to find out all the information you need when you can, I want to say, buy a mentor, just lack of a better terminology, buy some time, and that'll save you time. It may save you that 15 years. It may take you a year instead of the 15. So I do have people that I connect with who are available and are willing, especially if you're paying them, to help you get to the next square. So I do have those people.
Yeah. Money has a way of us opening up people's generosity to help.
I mean, and that's fair. I mean, hey, you need the information, they got it. Either you're going to take your time and read a book or search or whatever, or you're going to call them and say, hey, this is what you do. So I don't mind paying.
All right.
It
Would you
just
say
takes a
that
little work.
louder so the people in the back can hear you? You know?
Oh, well, I don't. If it's something that I'm truly committed to and I just don't have any answers or don't know what questions to ask, I will reach out and call somebody.
Good stuff. Good stuff. So, we talk about a lot on the Crotchet Men podcast about starting your own business. We talk about, it's important to, you get information to educate. So, for our audience, our listening audience, what type of words would you leave them with as far as, what's inspired you, and if they're thinking about starting a business, art, or any other kind of business, how would you inspire our audience?
I would tell them, and people, you have that fire and you want to take that fire and run with it. I would tell them to sit down for a minute, sit down on the inside and really think about how you can do it. It's and the who's that you need to make that happen. Because sometimes, like, there's a book called Who Not How. You need some who's. So you really need to sit down and look at it for what it is, not for your excitement. That's important, but that's not the most important thing. It has to make sense. There are structures in place because of that. People will take an idea and run with it, and it doesn't work. Oh, it wasn't a good idea. It was a good idea, but you didn't have the structure behind it to make it work. As far as you say creativity or the business, that would be my business side. Sit down, take a look at it, analyze it. Not too much analysis because you get into analysis paralysis, and that's a whole nother thing. But look at it and look at the possibilities and then try it. There's another book called Try It and See. Some things you just got to try, not just willy-nilly. Try it with some structure. Like I said, it just, don't throw it out there and see what sticks. Try some stuff and see what you like. And as far as being creative, that's not something I can teach. That's something that's internal. And I believe everybody is creative in some way or another because the creator is big enough to have given each of us a skill that is expressible in the world. So whatever that is for you, get into it and make it happen because people need what you have, believe it or not. No matter how small you think it is, there's somebody that needs what you have. So
Well said, well said. And I'll just add the fact that, very proud of you, the fact that, you stick with this regardless of the outcome. I mean, you've been doing, like I said, for 14 years. I've been watching you do this for 14 years, and I have to applaud you for, continuing to do it regardless of the outcome. And basically, that's sometimes lacking in a lot of people as far as, starting something and finishing something and seeing it through to completion. So I have to hear again, hats off and applaud you for that. Very proud of the fact that you stick with it regardless of the results. Hey, this has been a great interview. I'm glad you obliged us and came on today, because it's important that we talk about more than just finances, because there's always a human side to businesses also. And I think you've kind of expressed that in a great manner, the human side of art, because it's in all of our lives. Everywhere you look around, it's art. If you look on the walls in our rooms, it's art. So someone has to create that. And it's good that you've chosen to that as your profession, because it is a
Can,
profession.
can I
So
jump in? I just want to
go
say
ahead.
thank you for George, my husband. Thank you. And Gary, too, for allowing me to be on your podcast. I really appreciate the exposure and the opportunity to express some of the things, the challenges and the rewards that come with being committed to something. So I really appreciate that. I just wanted to say thank you, and thank you for the public acknowledgement, all those things. So I appreciate it.
Well, you kind of
Oh,
jumped the gun there. We kind of give you a chance at the end to do all that stuff. So in closing, please tell us, how can people get in touch with you to if they want to see your art? Because unfortunately, we're all vocal. We're not visual here, so they can't actually see your art, which I think is going to be really good that they can see it. So how do they get in touch with you?
My website is www.sharon, Sharon, Crumley, Crum, as in Mary, Ley, studios.com. Or you can catch me on Instagram. My IG handle is Sharon underscore visual artist, Sharon underscore VISUALARTIST.
And for those that are in Atlanta, you said you have some art currently hanging several places. Where can they see your art?
If you're in Atlanta, if you're downtown, the Central Library downtown, if you're more towards Alpharetta, the Marriott Hotel on Windward Parkway, and the Scene Gallery at North Point Parkway. If you're in Roswell, you can go to Westside Marketplace on Holcomb Bridge Road.
Great. All right. Here again, thanks again for being on the show. Great episode, Smitty, as always. And what you got as far as closing words?
I'm going to defer to the fortune cooking lady. That's a cookie. Shoot. Give me one, Sharon, before we go. Lead us on out of here.
Oh, the pressure of it all. Let's see. What can I? Here's one. This is kind of a long one. It says, "Remind yourself not to argue with people Harriet Tubman would have left behind." So,
I like that one. Oh my goodness. I love that one. I can't wait till this recording. Oh my goodness.
Well, as we always say at the end, if you didn't know, now
Now
you
you know.
know. Thanks.
Thank you.
Peace. We out.
Peace.
This is Dr. Paul Clemens with the Crotchety Old Men Podcast. If you're interested in financial tools to build wealth, and you're interested in ways to maximize your health through holistic alternatives, then you are just the audience that we're looking for. Tune in each week, every Thursday, to the Crotchety Old Men Podcast, where George Crumley, Gary Smith, and I offer you in-depth discussions on health and wealth. Subscribe to the Crotchety Old Men Podcast on Google, Spotify, Apple, iHeartRadio, or wherever you get your favorite podcast.